When Steve Bruce was appointed Newcastle manager in 2019, he was handed the task of succeeding Rafael Benitez, the club's most popular manager since the days of Kevin Keegan and Sir Bobby Robson. It also sent a pretty clear message to Magpies fans, as the club went from having a Champions League winner in the dugout to a manager whose 20-year CV consists of getting clubs into the Premier League, trying to keep them there, and not a lot else. On arrival at St James's Park, Bruce said his new team would play on the front foot, and with the signings of Joelinton and Allan Saint-Maximin for a combined £55.8 million, it was tempting to believe him. But despite leading the side to a 13th place finish, the same as Benitez had managed with a similar points total the season before, as well as sustaining a run to the FA Cup quarter-finals, the club's best showing since 2006, his first season was far from inspiring. They scored just 38 goals, their worst tally in the Prem since 1998, while John Joe Shelvey was their top scorer in the league with 6, indicative of a team which had worryingly few ideas in the final third. A year later, and little progress has been made, with supporters clamouring ever louder for Bruce's sacking as the club looks in increasing danger of a second relegation in 6 years. But is his Newcastle side as bad as people make out? Let's take a look. A quick glimpse at the numbers tells you a lot about how Newcastle approach games under Steve Bruce. In 2019-20, they ranked 16th in the Premier League for shots per game and second bottom for expected goals, with Crystal Palace the only side to create fewer clean-cut goal-scoring opportunities. While the addition of the fast and skillful Allan Saint-Maximin raised hopes of the Magpies becoming a more exciting attacking team, Bruce used his pace as well as that of Miguel Almiron to make Newcastle even more of a counter-attacking side than they'd been before. While Benitez was a notably defensive coach and often employed a deep block against more expansive sides, the idea of pressing the opposition has gone completely out the window under Bruce. In Benitez's final 2 campaigns, the Magpies allowed their opponents 13.7 passes per defensive action on average, while in Bruce's first season, that figure skyrocketed to 19. For context, the next least active pressers in the division last term were Sheffield United, who allowed 13.9 passes per tackle or interception, and no team in the English top flight had been anywhere near as relaxed out of possession in the previous 5 seasons either, with Brighton's average of 15.6 in 2017-18 the highest figure up to that point. Sitting so deep was always going to put Newcastle's attackers at a disadvantage, and this was especially true with Joelinton, who had thrived under Julian Nagelsmann at Hoffenheim, a side which was known for winning possession deep in the opposition half. In 2018-19, the German side allowed opponents just 8.7 passes per defensive action, only second in the Bundesliga to Bayern Munich, so adapting to a side which placed so little emphasis on winning back possession was always going to be tough. He was also placed in a totally new role, completely isolated as a lone striker in a 5-4-1, whereas he'd often been positioned in a 2 or 3 in a number of shapes used by Nagelsmann, and his expected goals and assists per 90 plummeted from 0.59 to 0.3. A player Benitez had warned against signing, Joelinton is clearly unsuited to Bruce's style, contributing to the same number of goals as Federico Fernandez last season and netting just once so far this campaign. This wouldn't have been too big a problem if Newcastle had a superb back line, but willingly inviting teams to attack only made them more vulnerable. They conceded 14.9 shots a game in 2019-20, with a large proportion of them high-quality chances. According to post-shot expected goals, which measures the likelihood of a chance resulting in a goal based on both the quality of chance and finish, Newcastle should have conceded 10 more than they did. Martin Dubravka's heroics between the sticks meant they somehow kept 11 clean sheets, more than Arsenal, Chelsea and Tottenham, and most certainly saved them from a relegation battle. Weirdly enough, while most Premier League sides are pressing less aggressively this season due to the heavily congested fixture schedule, Newcastle are actually pressing slightly more than last term. However, while they are now conceding 1.5 expected goals per game, down from 1.8 in 2019-20, they are actually conceding 1.7 goals a game, up from 1.5 last term. With Carl Darlow between the sticks instead of Dubravka for almost the entire campaign until now, the Magpies have let in over 3 more goals than they should have, laying bare just how much Dubravka was masking their bad defence last season. Why it has taken so long for the Czech stopper to be reinstated into the starting 11 has rightly been a point of contention among fans. As a result, they've been trailing in games for a total of 842 minutes this season, which accounts for 36% of their total time on the pitch. For context, in the entirety of the 2019-20 campaign, they were behind for 937 minutes, which translated to 27% of their total playing time, and only one other side, Sheffield United, have been behind for longer this season. And it's been no better at the other end. The Magpies have spent 348 minutes ahead in games this term, just 14% of their playing time, with Sheffield United again the only team with a worse record. It's easy to see then why Newcastle fans are a lot more tired of Bruce's tactics than they were last term, even if the football on display hasn't changed a huge amount. And this is despite the club signing a striker in Callum Wilson who is a much more ideal frontman for Bruce's system. Used to feeding off scraps at Bournemouth, Wilson takes just 2 shots per 90, but 1.9 of them come inside the box, and he's created high quality chances for teammates too. He leads the Magpies squad for goals with 10 and for assists with 5, with XG giving him 0.7 expected goal involvements per 90, better than Patrick Bamford and only marginally worse than Mo Salah. But there's been hardly any progress elsewhere in the squad. Whereas last term there were 10 different players creating a chance or more per 90, that figure has dropped to 6 this campaign, with Ryan Fraser, whose 2.8 key passes a match is far and away the best average at St James's Park, ranking 17th in the squad for minutes played. While Miguel Almiron's creative output has improved, Saint-Maximin's hasn't, and Jonjo Shelvey's has got a lot worse. As a result, the side has instantly become over-reliant on Wilson up top, and they've struggled massively since he succumbed to a hamstring injury in early February. This leads us on to another defining factor in Newcastle's season. While it is easily the most severe, this is Wilson's 3rd injury of the campaign already, and it's been a similar story elsewhere in the Magpies squad. And while the congested campaign has seen a rise in fitness problems and injuries across the Premier League, Steve Bruce has been particularly badly affected. As referenced in our explainer on Thiago and Liverpool, a study by Football 365 in mid-January found that aside from the Reds, Newcastle had been the most unlucky with injuries this term, with players at St James's Park missing 65 games combined on the treatment table or through illness. By that point, Saint-Maximin had already missed 9 league fixtures, with Dubravka and club captain Jamal Lascelles the other 2 players who had faced the longest time on the sidelines. Rocked by a COVID-19 outbreak in December, the squad has struggled to recover, and things have only gotten worse in the last 2 months. Since game week 19, injured Magpies players have missed a combined 30 games, and while their casualty list is relatively small at the time of writing, it includes Wilson, Saint-Maximin and Almiron, all of whom aren't expected back until April at the earliest, with Jeff Hendrick the only fit squad member to have scored more than once this term. With a tough run-in that includes meetings with 3 of the current top 6 as well as Spurs, Liverpool and Arsenal, and trips to fellow relegation battlers Brighton and Fulham, the odds are stacked against Bruce's side. While the manager's style is never going to win over the neutral, it did at least look very functional in the early months of the campaign. In their first 12 games, Newcastle won 5, drew 2 and lost 5, on spectacular but mid-table form which saw them sit 9 points above the relegation zone. And they weren't getting lucky either. They outscored their opponents on expected goals in every game they won, and even did so in the matches they drew. But with injuries decimating what was already a shallow squad, Bruce has had few answers. His side have lost 9 of their last 15 games, winning just twice and registering more than 1 expected goal on just 6 occasions. Even if, as some fans claim, the style of football has actually improved in some aspects, as Bruce tries to find different ways to win vital points without his star players. By the time they come back, it could be simply too late to save Newcastle's season. So that was our take on Newcastle under Steve Bruce, but what did you make of it? Get at us in the comments below and we'll do our best to reply. And any Newcastle fans watching this, how do you rate your chances of staying in the Prem this season? We want to hear. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave us a like, and why not check out our last explainer on why pundits are wrong about Thiago. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.